We are back and it's still Crossfire with Dakwa and Ishoma. If you're watching us live on channel 57, our terrestrial, platform, and that is where we're bringing this show to you. Now, let's quickly go on here, gentlemen. I mean, we've been talking about, some of the challenges. I want to go into farming. How do I get a land to farm? How do I get money for farming? How do I get seed for farming? How do I access cheap fertilizers for farming? How do I get enough money to be able to buy tractors and some other,
Employee helps.
exactly, and get even more hands to help me farm, and all of that. And then probably before we go away on the show, we'll look at a few, areas that government, or is there anything government wants to do to make me a farmer if I'm interested and I want to go? You have emphasized using the NYSC program. But I want to go into farming. Yeah. I'm interested in farming. Is there anything government can do for me to be able to access, to be able to get ready for farming? SHOLA?
Let me put this in perspective. If you look at the data, our productivity has declined over the years. And this was not something that happened overnight. Yeah. We've had it since the 60s until we are nowhere. We fell out of the graph completely. And yes, today we now see a scenario where we say, let's go back and farm. We need to fix the value chain. First thing is, how do I increase productivity? There are two schools of thought here. I know GBADEBO is the organic person. Maybe one day you bring him, side by side with somebody that is pro-GMO. For me, I think I'll keep my views private on that. I'll keep my views private. But where I am going here is, you have a scenario where we need to increase yield, increase productivity. What we need to look at here is what is happening to our productivity per hectare. In my opinion, we do not need to open new lands. We merely need to improve on our productivity. We're talking about a scenario where our per hectare yield on crop is far, far below industry average. And that's because of the type of seed that we're using. That's because of our agronomic practices. That's because of the lack of agri-technology. Now, don't look at me like that.
I hope that statement does not... I hope that statement... Exactly.
Speaking in favor of GBADEBO.
My first degree is in agricultural science, by the way.
Okay.
And I know that I went through two courses. One is breeds and breeding for animal science. And then there is also plant breeding. Now, this is the Herculean, very tedious way of achieving what GMO could otherwise have achieved. So maybe that's for you, okay? Right, so I'm talking about just improved yield, organically improved yield. Varieties of seeds that could actually improve yield. That's one. Number two, land fertility. The issue of fertilizer or fertilization of our lands also needs to be looked into. We have adequate arable land in Nigeria to get us back on the graphs. We don't really need to open up our forest if there is no need for it. Yeah.
Let's tweak. Afforestation is another key thing that
let's tweak what we have on our arable lands and go on. Now, having said that, I will need to say that if you want to look at getting the youth to be encouraging the youth, because the average farmer, the average age of the farmer,
into farming.
The average age of the farmer is 67 years now. The average farmer in Nigeria is 60. So which means that generation is fading out. And of course, it's the Hoe and Cutlass generation. So this is an opportunity for us, and indeed for the government in power, to try and see how we can leverage on the emerging generation, what you will call Generation Next. And curiously, I think I've been around young people for a little bit. Many of them are interested in going into farming. How do we actually tap into that? He has mentioned one of them. Number two, we need to make agriculture business. We need to emphasize the business side of agriculture. The young man of today wants a good life for himself.
But how can you do that? Look at the state of electricity today. But
the chain. We will still talk about transportation. It's part of the chain.
The value
storage,
chain.
Or,
storage. Part of the
even
chain.
Exportation too.
Do you understand?
So,
now, that's the reason why I am of the opinion that we should not just look at, I want to do farming. Let us look at the agricultural value chain that has been so scandalously segmented. Imagine a storage facility standing way on its own from production. By the time the tomato farmer gets down to Lagos, according to the statistics that is banded before us, 40% of the thing is lost.
Gone back.
Now, there is no connectivity between somebody that has an infrastructure, a cold storage, that could actually help him, I mean, a cooling storage, not even cold one, that could help him to preserve this. The technology of tomato harvest, they don't have it. So we're talking about fixing the value chain in such a manner that whichever one is most attractive to the young person, to the youth, it should be encouraged to go in there. All of us cannot go and go. I mean,
be on the farm. Some of us
we have production, we have processing, we have farm machinery and equipment, we have storage facilities.
Transportation.
We even have what GBADEBO is doing, commodities marketing. So for me, the value chain approach is the way to go. The last government has actually leveraged on that, and we had a measure of results. And if you look at the the green alternative document, they are also still going on the same. The value chain segmentation, we need to fix the gaps and then make it attractive, underscore the business side of agricultural business, of agriculture, and encourage these young people to be there.
Okay. Peradventure, this is coming at a point where the current administration is investing so much on the rail. And I remember that back in the days, I mean, I would stay at a rail station and I would see loads of farm produce, tomatoes, none were being transported, you know, via road. You understand? I mean, they bring all of them in those cargoes, you know, via rail. Peradventure, okay, I think government is investing hugely on the Lagos-Kano and Lagos-Calabar. So, I mean, maybe if we have that, we open up, you know, an aspect of the value chain that can make, you know, products available in so many other areas. Now, money is key, because I need us to talk about money. Money is really very key. As an SME, if government is going to do it, obviously, you have to. There is every nation, any economy that killed your your small and medium enterprise, you are dead.
You're finished.
It's a finished economy. So if you want to do that, there's no way we can promote that without having, without making money available. How much of money can I access as a young farmer?
Okay. Well, Nigeria signed up to the Maputo Declaration that says that 10% of their budget, I believe, should be spent on agriculture every year to ensure food sovereignty and, you know, increase production in the agriculture sector. The maximum that we've gotten to is 1.8%, average roughly around 1.6%, 7% of which is recurrent expenditures. So we are not really serious about agriculture just yet. Like you've mentioned, the trains and the wider network will benefit from expenditures elsewhere, like for instance, the trains, and like he's talked about, storage, logistics. But for farmers to access funds and subsidies that their counterparts in Europe and America are enjoying, which is why...
Because I was reading somewhere, sorry to interrupt, farmers access a single-digit loan in banks. 6%, 5%, 8%.
And this goes also down to corruption as well, because it's not as if funds have not been set aside for farmers. It's just unfortunate that when the central bank creates these funds, they put it through banks, and these banks create these ridiculous conditions and requirements for farmers who are struggling farmers to be able to access. I mean, you're actually supposed to be trying to lift these farmers up. We're asking them for landed properties in Lagos Island. You know, it doesn't make any sense. And then also, there are farmers that go to access these funds that have been approved by central bank. And then the bankers will just tell them to take 20% and no need to come back. You don't need to pay it back. So this is corruption as it's endemic in this system that needs to be cleaned up. I believe that the more you reduce these barriers between the farmer and the banker, and when I mean the banker, I mean central bank, the better.
So how do you mean? You want farmers to be able to access funds directly, or engage the central bank directly?
But let's even look at Bank of Industry, Bank of Agriculture also. They are supposed to ease up the burden. So even if individuals don't want to go to other individual commercial banks, you can access easy funds.
BOI.
From BOI and then Bank of Agriculture.
And I also think that with this new BVN situation where there is so much knowledge about the customer, the risk side of this whole transaction
It's minimized.
should be minimized
Exactly, it's reduced.
significantly. So if the BOI,
Bank of
Agriculture, do something where, just like there used to be extension services in Nigeria that were really good, where people will go to the farms and meet with farmers and teach them how to farm. And I mean, so today, our farmers are still planting tomatoes that are laying flat on the ground.
That's true.
As opposed to staying
Okay, sorry to just interject. Okay. Let's take Obina's call. Hello, good morning, Obina.
Good morning. My name is Obina.
Obina, good morning. How are you today? Let's take your comment quickly.
Yeah, I want to contribute to the show.
Go ahead.
Yeah, please. What I want to say concerning this agricultural revolution in Nigeria is that the governments are not serious. They are not doing anything. Most of the money we should have allocated to agriculture is being spent on flamboyancy, spending those money on governors, buying expensive. Instead of investing those money to buy tractors, let's have enough tractors, machinery for production. They are not giving us that. At least if we go to a local government, we should be able to have enough tractors so that people can actually use this tool to produce. But no, instead of them buying tractors, they are busy buying flashy cars, expensive houses, and traveling abroad for I don't know what they are traveling abroad to get. This is where they have to put the money. Give us land. Open up the streets. Like one of the guests was saying that if you are traveling from, for instance, you are traveling from Lagos to Benin, there's still land. From Benin to still land.
They are bought.
Nothing has been done with those lands.
Jump on me for
first. Open up those lands. Open up those lands. Let us go there. Produce tomato, beans. I don't understand what they are even doing. What are they even talking about?
Okay,
Obina. So that's the question. Too much of corruption. Spending money on irrelevant things. Wasting money, wasting resources. That is very pathetic.
All right, Obina. Thank you, Obina.
Thank you very much, Obina. Obina is so very passionate about it. Of course.
But there's another thing that is also killing the growth of agriculture in Nigeria. Over-dependence on imported agricultural produce. You go across our shopping malls, clearly you can identify that this is certainly not a grown, made in Nigeria fruit or made in Nigeria commodity. Let's even look at our borders. You also have these goods being smuggled in with the knowledge of the custom agencies. Don't you think all of these issues are killing?
All right, before we take your comments, we'll quickly go on another short break. When we come back, we'll be approaching the last lap of the show. We'll be right back after this. Back, and it's still Crossfire with Dakpo and Ishoma. It's a Friday, thank God it's Friday. Sorry we didn't make it a feedback Friday. We didn't bring a lot of stories, but we need to just quickly address this as, by popular demand, really and truly. It's been a while we talk about agriculture. Now, federal government already approved the green alternative. It's a policy towards economic diversification. And just like Shola said when we started the show, the question we should be asking is, can agri eventually become Nigerians' economy mainstay again? And so that's what we've been talking about. And we enumerated a couple of challenges that, that we've been facing and all of that. Now, since our time is well spent, let's look at a way of rounding it up. Now, one, accessing finance for agri is what you were trying to, to mention before we went on that break. Let's quickly just go on in that.
So for me, I feel that just like you have extension services, you should have business development analysts that go to the farms. Make sure that farmers access. You don't have to give the farmer cash. What does the farmer need? And then you buy those things and give it to the farmer. You monitor this. Make sure it's being used for what it said is going to be used for. And have that cycle.
Is that not why they release money to farmers in tranches, saying, okay, this is the time, you need it for this?
Yes, but at the same time, the way it's currently done now allows for a lot of corruption to happen. And also we need to start looking for how we can have, for instance, there's this process of blackening fertilizer. I'm not sure if Shola knows about it, where you get organic, not organic fertilizer, organic products like the back of bananas, and then you mix it with charcoal. And then you use it to blacken your earth, which has proved very, very successful.
Okay, let's take this call. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Hello,
good morning.
Hello, King. Good morning. How are you today?
I'm perfect, thank you.
All right, let's take your comment.
Now, I'd love to contribute towards the topic is today.
Okay, go ahead.
Now, I know we have agriculture as one of our things. But I looked at what Ben Murray posted on Facebook. He said, if Anambra State could export our agriculture, like if we could export foodstuffs and we make billions of dollars from that, then in other words, Nigeria could do the same thing. You know, but if you were saying NYC should start doing agriculture, who's going to start it? Whose government? Is it this administration that's after corruption? That's my question.
All right, thank you very much. I mean, there's a lot of distractions for the government at the moment. There are so many things happening at the same time. The Niger Delta Avengers, Boko Haram in Northeast, the problem at the judiciary, I mean, and the judiciary level and the legislative level. I mean, I don't know if Buki Saraki and Ike Kerimadu are sure
but
they still have seats and all of that. So many. There's no power in the country.
Because Mr. Ben Bruce is a member of the legislative arm of the government. That means by law he is also part of the government. Yeah. So because I'm yet to see any bill being sponsored by any of these individuals on some of these issues to promote it. What are the states doing? What are the state governments doing? A state governor can say, okay, under
like
our Ministry of Agriculture,
and saying that, okay, NYC yearly, this place is going to be available for as many farmers, I mean, as many coppers who wants to farm and all of that. Now, I mean, King was trying to say that, I mean, the point is there are so many distractions for this government and we cannot possibly...
for the executive,
exactly.
But then the legislative, what are they doing? They're not exonerated from this.
As far as I'm concerned, this thing is not rocket science. This is agriculture. We've been farming before we're colonized. It's really not that deep.
That was the first commandment. But the second commandment.
It's really not that deep. If we say that we're going to do agriculture, you say instead of going to this MTN or this other company, we're going to set up a base on these farms and we can teach people how to farm. They can help with harvest during that season. You know, just gently, and obviously you.
And it does not necessarily have to be crop farming. You can go into.
No, for me, I think because of we are constrained for time.
Yeah.
Let me just quickly chip in my bit here. Yes, it's true. We need our youth there. We need as many people as who volunteer, not just youth in agriculture.
Exactly.
And we need government participation. State government should take the cue. They should not rely on federal government.
Exactly.
However, when it comes to agri-financing, again, yes, we have all of the issues and the controversies around formal financial institutions, BOA, commercial banks. However, I believe that we should still look at implementation. And GBADEBO has mentioned it. If we have a cluster of farmland, and we can actually get our youth on that land, and there is an extension service provision to educate them on proper modern-day best agronomic practices farming. Yeah. And if it is livestock, the same thing. Then the banking industry or the financial institutions will know that they are not giving their monies to a neophyte. Now they'll be talking about people that have been truly drilled, educated, and then they have this particular amount of money for them. And I think the Anchor Borrowers Program of the government, which they are trying to drive currently, it's trying in its own way to really drive that. So for me, don't just give them money.
Exactly.
Teach them. Provide the amenities. Infrastructural development is there. And then give them all the support. Even provide guarantee. I think there's some form of guarantee.
Okay.
Give this guy money and we guarantee you he's going to pay back.
All right.
Extension services, we do all those.
All right. Thank you so very much, SHOLA, OBIKANYE, and thank you, GBADEBO, RHODES-VIVOR, for your, immense and very deep contribution that we have on the show.
I think we should have a GMO debate.
Maybe one of these days, and then we call you guys back. Thanks you so very much. Thank you, Shoma, and do enjoy, a very wonderful weekend. This is how far we can go on the show today. We'll be back next week with fantastic episodes for you. Do stay out of trouble. God bless Nigeria. Nigeria will survive.
Amen.
Think green and think agriculture.
To enjoy more of these our ogbonge videos when you just watch, press this button to subscribe on top of our YouTube page. You go love her.